Today, I'm going to be talking about 4 of Sony's hottest full-frame cameras right now on the market. We're going to be comparing the FX3, the A7 IV, the A7C II, and the ZV-E1. Because I've been shooting with some of these for a very long time, like 4 or 5 years. I'm going to give you guys my raw, actual used experience with these bodies. We're not going to be going through all of like the nitpicking and pixel peeping stuff like, oh, the slight vignette and fringing in the left turnmost top right corner is... No, none of that. It's just gonna be a sit down and talk because all my camera bodies are on the table. I literally had to borrow an A7C II, which is what you're seeing this on. So I only have one angle today. So yeah, we're just gonna have a candid conversation. Let's get into it. Look, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, image quality wise, you're not gonna see like a blaring difference. Like if you know what you're doing, you're gonna get pretty much an incredible image quality from either of these cameras. They each and all of them have their own specialty. For example, with the FX3, you have dual native ISOs at 650 as well as 12,800, which gives you really good low light capabilities with this camera. The 10-bit color, the 4K 120 for like super slow motion if you wanted to. Now with the ZV-E1, I would say this is the closest to the FX3 because you're pretty much getting the same sensor that you get in the FX3 and the A7S III inside this camera, and also same thing, 4K 120, 4K 60, no crop. Now just like the first 2 cameras we talked about, these 2 cameras are also very similar. With the A7 IV as well as the A7C II, they pretty much have the exact same sensor. Both have 4K that's downsampled from 7K footage. So if you're shooting in like 4K 24p, you're getting a sharper image compared to the Cinema and the ZV-E1 cameras, so that's kind of cool. But the moment you switch over to 4K 60, you do get a slight crop with both of these cameras, which you don't with the other 2. So the crop factor is a little bit annoying because it changes your composition, and like you also like if you're shooting on like wide lenses and you want to shoot like slow motion or something, you always have to like keep in your mind like how much it's gonna crop and does impact your footage. Now the other thing to keep in mind, no 4K 120. So if you wanted like super slow motion, then these are your go-tos. Okay, next up, autofocus. Now, autofocus is pretty much like, it's gonna be a standard requirement for most even filmmakers in today's day and age because autofocus is just so darn good. Now, when it comes to that, I would separate the cameras like this because the FX3 and the A7 IV are slightly older, and the ZV-E1 and the A7C II, these have the latest autofocus system, and they come with like the AI chip and everything like that. So autofocus on these 2 bodies is actually better compared to these 2 because they are getting a little bit long in the tooth. But I will say, I've been using both of these for the past 4 or 5 years, no issues whatsoever. Sure, you're gonna have like a little bit of hunting or a little bit of issues here and there, but if you want the best, latest and greatest, you're gonna get that with these 2 bodies here. Now another big one is low light, but you've already heard this bush beaten to death by now. The FX3 and the ZV-E1 with the dual native sensor that has like, 650 and 12,800 ISOs to shoot on. These things are absolute animals. Like sometimes you're outside and it's like pitch dark and I'm filming with this thing and it looks like it's like bright outside. Footage of the ZV-E1. We're gonna go all the way to 12,800. Boom. You can literally see the night sky. Look at that. Footage on the A7C II, brightened that up a little bit to 3200. You can see it doesn't really make much of a difference. All the way up to 12,800. There's a lot of noise here. Okay, next up is a very big one, and that is ergonomics and ports. So I'm gonna start off with my absolute favorite here, which is the king, the FX3. This thing is like, has been my bread and butter camera for pretty much most of my YouTube journey. Like I love the square body shape here. It feels a little more cinematic to use. I love how small it is, but it also gives you so much built in. You get a whole bunch of different mounting points already drilled into this camera. So in a pinch, if you wanted to go like vertical or something like that, I can just mount a quick plate to one of the sides here, turn the camera vertical. I also love throwing cages on here, which is how I usually use the FX3. I love the tally lights because you can see that it is recording from pretty much anywhere. There's a record button out at front, which I can just go ahead and push and toggle when I'm recording. The grip is the best grip out of all these cameras here. It's just so so nice to hold. It feels so nice and chunky. Like, this is like a quality workhorse camera, and you're gonna feel like you could get anything done with this camera. It literally inspires confidence. You also get dual SD card slots, which is huge. You can have redundancy in your recording so that if you're on like an important client shoot, you're recording to both SD cards in case you lose one or one gets crapped out. Now, you also have a big one for me is a full-size HDMI port. This is absolutely crucial because anytime you get a micro or mini HDMI port, like you're gonna have issues. It also has fans, so if you are at all doing anything like interviews and filming like long documentaries, or you know you're gonna be filming like full day long shoots, out of all these cameras, I think the FX3 is probably your best bet. Absolutely fantastic camera. Can't recommend this enough. Okay, let's quickly talk about the ZV-E1. Now, I would say out of all the cameras here, this is probably feels the most plasticiest out of the bunch. I think they probably did that because to save weight and you know, also to make it feel a little bit smaller and lighter. So you do get one SD card slot only. You also get a micro HDMI, which if you're planning to rig this up, just keep that in mind. You'll have to deal with a micro HDMI. Not a fan of that. Also, no EVF, just like the other cinema option we just discussed. And I will say, the grip on this is probably the worst out of all of these. So just something to keep in mind. But because this is plasticky and because the grip and everything and all of that, it makes this the smallest camera out of these bunch and also the lightest. So this is really nice to have around with you if you're vlogging. It's very inconspicuous, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay, next up, let's talk about the A7 IV. This is also has been a workhorse camera for me, especially if I'm doing like photography gigs or anything like that. This thing is really nice. You again, just like the FX3, get the dual card slots. This is really nice for redundancy and making sure you don't lose any footage. You get the full-size HDMI on this thing. Oh, thank you so much. The EVF on this is the best EVF you're gonna get out of any of these cameras because it is a true hybrid. At the end of the day, you get a 33 megapixel sensor in here for really high quality photos. So the photo quality on these are actually like really good if you want to do any cropping or any sort of zooming into your photos, or if you want to do larger prints and stuff like that. Now, the 12 megapixel is okay. I will be honest, I don't feel confident shooting photos on these. I don't know, it's just maybe the whole ergonomics, how it's all set up. Like, I know people are able to get fantastic photos, especially with like the low light capabilities of this, but I just feel a lot more confident and comfortable with one of these two cameras. But all in all, I think this is a fantastic hybrid camera, but again, just like the FX3, it's a bigger camera, and if feels even bigger compared to the FX3 because of the EVF, the big EVF right at the top here. But it is a solid camera. Love the grip as well, nice and deep. Very nice to hold this camera. Now with the A7C II, it's a little bit peculiar because you do have some of the downsides that you do with the ZV-E1. You do only get the one SD card slot and you do get the micro HDMI port. However, you do get an EVF, not as good as the A7 IV, but it's an EVF that you can use and it's kind of off to the side, so it's not ideal, but it's there. And it is surprisingly well built and the grip feels much nicer to hold and to use. So this is, I mean, I was surprised because I thought it would be very similar to ZV-E1, but the build quality on this, I love that two-tone metallic silver and black look, and the grip on this is really nice and it's got that rubbery feel to it, unlike the plasticky feel of the ZV-E1, and it just feels like a really nice camera to hold and use. It feels much more substantial than the ZV-E1. However, it feels like it's the same size and weight as the ZV-E1. So I would say, like, for a vlog camera, like if you want something that actually feels really nice to take around with you and everything like that, that's really well built and robust, I think you can't go wrong with the A7C II. It feels really nice, also feels very discreet. Like if I wanted to throw on the new Sony 16mm lens, the f1.8, this combo is like perfect for vlogging. Okay, look, I will say, on paper, these don't look too far off in terms of shape, but I will tell you, in practice, they do feel quite a bit bigger and heavier compared to their smaller counterparts. It's a noticeable difference, noticeable enough for me to want to really kind of like downsize my setup from these two to these two, just because of the weight and like the lightness of like traveling with this and taking these around and whatnot. But like when I'm on like serious jobs or like doing like, you know, paid gigs or something like that, I definitely do appreciate the bigger and more heavy-duty feeling that I get with the FX3 and the A7 IV. Now, the other caveat I wanted to mention, the SD card slot. Look, I gotta be dead honest with you guys. I have rarely ever used the dual SD card slots. So I know like it feels like a big disadvantage to only have a single SD card slot with these two smaller cameras, but like even with these two, like 90% of my shoots and 90% of the videos I've filmed has literally just been one SD card in both of these. I personally don't think you absolutely need those dual SD cards, but there are times, like for example, like if I was doing like a big gig where I have like paid talent out there and I'm paying actors and paying lighting and paying grips and all of these people to be out here, I definitely do want that redundancy. But then again, I would probably also be recording onto my Ninja V monitor and also dual recording onto the camera and just getting as many different redundancies as possible. So in those cases, yes, you definitely want those dual cards. But if you're doing something like me where you're just doing a YouTube channel, you just want to travel and do document stuff and whatnot, you're gonna be fine with a single SD card slot, so I wouldn't worry too much. Also, I will say looks-wise, absolutely go with the white ZV-E1. Like this thing looks so cool, especially if like you throw on like a black lens or something. This panda look is actually pretty cool, I dig it. Now, I also really love the look of the FX3, this dual tone, gray and black. It feels like you mean business, right? It feels cinematic. I don't even know what that means. This look with the A7C II, absolutely dig it. It's very similar to my X106 from Fuji, like that retro look, I love it. And then the A7 IV only comes in this black. And this one, it just means business. Okay, next up, overheating and battery life. I know some of you guys have been waiting for this one. I will say, look, if you're worried at all about overheating because you're doing like long shoots and whatnot, FX3 is the way to go. Obviously, you get the fan and everything like that. You don't have to worry about it. This is your like a beast. But across all four of these bodies, you use the exact same battery pack. And these batteries are pretty good for what they do. After this, the FX3, I would say the A7 IV has been really great, simply because it's a bigger body, better heat dissipation. After the A7 IV, I'd say the most reliable would be the A7C II. Even though it's small, it just feels better made. It has better materials on it. Now, the ZV-E1 is technically the worst of the bunch because of the plasticky body and everything like that. You might have overheating issues. I personally have not had any overheating issues the way I film. I've shot multiple videos on this thing. No issues whatsoever personally with heating. Most of the times I've used it is within the studio, and if I'm traveling with it or anything like that, it's literally just bursts of vlogs here and there or bursts of footage here and there. But if I was to use it for an extended period of time, I would probably not go for this one just in case it overheats, because there are a lot of people on the internet that have complained about this overheating. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so as for the prices, I'm gonna have it on the screen right here. Yeah, I mean, the pricing wise, I think these are pretty fairly priced for what they can do. I will say the FX3 and the A7 IV are slightly older, so just be a little bit more calculated when you're making your purchase, because you could probably find used bodies for quite a bit cheaper online. Now, the A7C II and the ZV-E1, these things also go on sale quite often. Like I've seen these on sale several times throughout the year. So just wait for one of those sale periods and you'll probably be able to pick it up for cheaper, or look for Amazon used or B&H used. But I will say, when you factor in the price, unless you absolutely need the fan and all those extra features the FX3 comes, or you need all of like the dual SD cards, little big HDMI and everything, and the bigger grip, unless you need those things, it almost always makes more sense to go with the smaller counterparts. You get the smaller, lighter bodies and better autofocus, better AI chips, the newer tech in these basically. So you do have all that, and you're pretty much getting the exact same sensors across both of these. So that's something to definitely keep in mind when you're looking at price. Okay, I'm gonna quickly now, before I share my final thoughts on this and which ones I've decided to kind of go with, here are just random scenarios on who I think should buy which camera. If you're a solo filmmaker, like you wanna do documentaries, like you're out on, filming client shoots where you're doing interviews and corporate interviews and stuff like that, I would definitely go with the FX3. You're gonna want the redundancy with the SD cards, you're gonna want the fan for longer filmmaking, and you're gonna want the ability to rig this out with the large HDMI and all of that stuff, and have something that you can go at it with for the entire day. If you are a travel vlogger doing video first, I would definitely go with the ZV-E1. This thing is fantastic. It's nice and small. I could literally jacket pocket it. It's that small and inconspicuous. You can just bust it out to film here and there. It doesn't feel too like obnoxious or like daunting. Now, if you are a photographer that wants to get into like prints or at a professional level, just photography, I think the A7 IV is a great option because you can also do video with it. So if you wanted to start like a parallel, Instagram page or a YouTube channel and make some reels and stuff like that, but you also want to take photography seriously, I think the A7 IV is perfect for that. This thing it means business. And if you are finally a hybrid creator or you want just a camera as a family man and you got some money to spend, then I definitely recommend the A7C II. This is the best hybrid option and smaller option in my opinion. This one is probably, like, if I didn't have any of these cameras at this moment, even though I'm not a photo first shooter, I would probably lean towards this one. So if I'm a beginner filmmaker, photographer, I think the A7C II is the perfect camera. And I think this is probably the perfect combo for me personally. The way I shoot, I still get all my thumbnails in photography and I still get my workhorse camera for my video. Now, recently I've been thinking, you know what, do I really want to sell this? So I might actually just go ahead and keep all three. Yeah, so that's pretty much my experience with all four of these cameras and me taking you through my mental dilemma. So hopefully I answered a lot of your questions that you might have had throughout or before or throughout this video. If you want any specific considerations, let me know in the comment section down below and I'll see if I can try to help you guys out. We deal with a lot of decision fatiguers on this channel, whatever it comes to tech, cameras, or anything else like that. So feel free to drop a comment and I'll try to help you guys out there. Take care, stay blessed, peace.